everybody on this special edition. Not really special edition, just your average episode.
It is kind of special.
It's special. We got Dylan here.
Well, it was not just that. Some of the shit you were messaging me about earlier this week that makes it a little special.
It's a little bit special. We are going to talk about some unsolved mysteries this evening. I, as always, am your host. One of the hosts, persistent guest, I like to say, on WolfParty Martin.
I was about to say, when the fuck did you become the host?
I don't know, man. Right now, I'm taking over.
I'm your true king host, Hew Perry.
We'll arm wrestle about it later.
And you?
I'm Dylan. That's about it, guys.
My name's Dylan.
My window tastes like Snollsberries.
We're going to talk about some unsolved mysteries, some unsolved murders, some just what the fuck moments of history in general. But starting out, I want to talk about some current events that have been happening. A unsolved mystery from the 70s into the 80s has apparently been solved.
Can I cut you off on that? There is something I want to read.
You can cut me off, I guess, but just this one time.
If I had a horn, I would honk it at you right now.
There is... So, you all are familiar with Patton Oswalt's wife, I believe, Michelle McNamara?
Yeah, she just passed away.
She just passed away.
Sad story.
But she had been writing a research book about this guy that just got caught.
The guy that I'm just about to talk about.
Yes, and at the end, she made a letter to him, and I want to read that.
Okay.
One day soon, you'll hear a car pull up to your curb and engine cut out. You'll hear footsteps coming up to your front walk like they did for Edward Wayne Edwards 29 years after he killed Timothy Hack and Kelly Drew in Sullivan, Wisconsin. Like they did for Kenneth Lee Hicks 30 years after he killed Lori Billingsley in Aloha, Oregon. The doorbell rings. No side gates are left open. You're long past leaping over a fence. Take one of your hyper-gulping breaths. Clench your teeth, inch timidly towards the insistent bell. This is how it ends for you. You'll be silent forever, and I'll be gone in the dark. You threatened a victim once. Open the door, show us your face, walk into the light. And that's exactly what this bastard did.
That fucker. Well, they just captured this guy out of Sacramento. He is well into his 70s right now. I believe he is 73 to 75, somewhere within that range. Old as fuck, because this happened in the mid-70s all the way up into like the middle of the 80s, pretty much. He's known as the Golden State Killer, which I fucking hate that moniker, because I've always known him as the original Night Stalker. Why they even brought up the Golden State Killer is stupid.
Well,
stupid name.
They also had different names for the different crimes he did.
Mm-hmm. There's also the East Area Rapist.
Yeah, so I feel like the Golden State Killer was kind of like an umbrella term for like what he was.
Yeah.
I think there were 3 other names he had.
It was the Golden State Killer as of recently. I think they just put that on him. There's also the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker. Mm-hmm. Of course, Richard Ramirez being the other Night Stalker. Mm-hmm. Old halitosis mouth himself. Mm-hmm. I want to call him the I have a roast in the oven killer, because when he was caught at like 2 in the morning, he said, wait, I got a roast in the oven. Why are you making a roast at 2 in the morning?
Did he actually?
Yeah, he actually said that. That was his words.
Did he?
Was
it people?
I don't know if it was people roast. He's not like Jeffrey Dahmer's grandfather. He's not part of the Donner Party. But this guy they just caught, he's they have already pinned 12 murders on him. Of course, with anybody they catch that's a murderer, they always claim to have well more than what they fucking pin on him. Mm-hmm. 45 rapes, hundreds of home break-ins all over California. They just caught this guy. His neighbors were like, well, he was a little bit weird, but, you know, he's just an old weird man, you know.
There was an interview with a guy that worked with JJ, and he was talking about, JJ was a mechanic. I don't know what this shop was or what they were delivering, but this guy was a driver, and JJ was the mechanic for all that. And he just said JJ just was all quiet all the time. He just seemed like a weird old man that just stayed to himself, and that it was weird that he was a killer, which you always hear.
Yeah.
He would have never killed anybody, I don't think.
Oh, no, he was just a weird old man. He may have mowed his lawn naked a couple times, but...
I'm kind of glad y'all did an episode like this, because I'm kind of big into, like... I like weird stuff, man. You know, I like stuff that's, to me, everybody else looks at it this way, but I look at it a different way. But I'd like to share something if I could.
Oh, share it. Sharing is caring, man.
Nice. It was weird, man. It was Saratoga Springs in Jeffersontown, Kentucky. Like, not even 20 minutes from here. Mm-hmm. It was the Sunday before Easter.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
2016. So this was a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Regular day family. Dad was in the military for a few years, got discharged. Never had one sign of aggression towards his kids. Was front row at church for like 10 years, and their kids were 5 and 4. Mm-hmm. So, like, the whole kid's life, you know, this was the nice looking family with a $350,000 house.
Very upscale neighborhood. I pass it by literally like every Friday and Saturday.
Sounds like the life.
This house, man, one random day, the alarm was, you know, it's a very fancy house. So the alarm called the cops because it smelled smoke. Yeah. Well, they get in there, put everything out. As soon as they got home from church, Sunday before Easter, Dad walks upstairs, puts his kids in his bed, shoots them both in the head, walks in the basement, shoots his wife in the head, sets their bodies on fire separately, and then shoots himself in the living room.
Oh. See, I heard that he set himself on fire and then killed himself.
No, they said he shot himself. They set the bodies on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, because me and Teddy Summers, mm-hmm. we were pretty big into it. We actually took Easter baskets out there the Easter night.
I remember he said that. He took us out there one night after we did the Pope Lick trestles.
Man, that house stares at you, man.
We couldn't find it. It was real late at night, and we circled around the area trying to find it, but we couldn't pinpoint it.
Oh man, the house was sketchy. Like, for some reason, like when we drove by it, like days after it happened, just because. In my opinion, I think something else was going on. I'm sorry. If he's not had one outburst in like 25 years, why is he going to randomly come home instantly after church while they're still in church clothes and kill his whole family?
Yeah, well, you said he was in the military. There might have been some type of like mental shit.
Well, they tried to blame it on PTSD. It's where they took it back to. But he has never had a sign of it in 25 years.
Some people just snap like that, man. It's fucking weird. They hold it in for so long, and it's fucking crazy.
I mean, this is, you know, I'm putting on a tinfoil hat for this one, but maybe he was threatened to do this by somebody for some reason.
Well, call me weird, but I'm about 250 pages into kind of short story, and it's kind of based on that family, and it's more of a possession kind of thing.
You're weird,
right?
God,
yeah,
Dylan.
I'm about 250 pages in.
You think it's possession?
I do. I really, really do.
I mean, it could be. It's based upon, you know, your religious beliefs and stuff like that. You know? That sounds like a classic case.
As we talked on the paranormal episode, I'm always one to go to something else before possession, but I do find possession stories to be entertaining.
Yes.
I've never found one that I've actually believed in. Like, because you see all these awful garbage horror movies nowadays that just take them to the so extreme that's just, it's annoying.
Most possession stories, it's like it can be contributed to schizophrenia or epilepsy or shit like that. It's always a logical
and for some reason all these movies, when the bitch has her head that turns around, no one has a gun. Like if it's
shoot her.
If it's Satan and your bullets don't work, you're gonna die today. It's okay.
Dip them bullets in some holy water.
Take your fucking loss. But no, I don't know. It just came off really weird to me. Yeah. That because I've done a lot of research like on this family, man.
I love the whole local like crimes and stuff like that, and I follow them to a T. And I think I was reading it at the time, and I did like a Google Maps thing when I heard about it because it was in J-Town. I live right down the road from J-Town, like 2 or 3 miles.
We can hop in the car if this is over, and I'll take you to the house.
I know where it is too. I looked it up, and I told my wife, I was like, "Fuck, this is like 3 miles away."
Are we gonna
go?
Are we gonna add this to like our paranormal investigations list? Is that what we're gonna do?
I wish, man. It's just,
I don't know if it's paranormal. I don't know if anything's gonna happen after that. We'll have to like.
This house is still empty and for sale.
Is it still empty?
It's been,
I was gonna say
since 2016.
Man, you want to buy it?
It's a $350,000 house, and they have it on the market for like $205.
Yeah, you can get a deal on shit like that, dude. My house.
They have to
disclose
disclose it.
It's nowhere near the same size.
They have to disclose it.
Yeah.
That area of town, man, the people with that kind of money, you're looking at a bunch of religious people.
Man, let's go.
They're not going to walk in.
Let's go in triplicates. Let's get it.
I'm down, yeah. Let's do it.
I can use an upgrade, man. I would buy it in a heartbeat.
I can use an upgrade in my house. I ain't afraid of no ghost. But I mean, that's pretty much the solved case, more or less. Everybody has their theories and everything, but
I just like taking things to the extreme, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's weird. It's just weird.
There is a little aspect that kind of makes it unsolved, and it's why the fuck would he do it?
Yeah,
definitely.
You can have the ideas of PTSD, possession, somebody bribed him to do it or threatened him to do it. Those are all just ideas. Nobody knows it's unsolved.
Yeah, you know what's crazy to me? I think possession is more likely than someone threatening him.
I just think you fucking snapped like a whole Susan Smith type thing. You know, a mom that had no prior fucking like outbursts and like that, loved her kids, and then she just drowns them. Why?
I mean, that's probably what happened. Like, you know, that's the smarter decision, I'd say. Yeah. But, you know, I like to.
We all want it to be more.
I like to
poke.
What it is.
Oh yeah, it's always fun just to like blow things out of proportion and make them into something they may or may not be, to make them more entertaining.
But the crazy thing is, it's not really blowing it out yet out of proportion. It's just.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying I'm using
what happened was just a lot.
But like I'm like with the Donner Party, with them, that got blown out of proportion. I'm using that as an example, to where Keseberg was like super fucking like cannibalistic when in reality he wasn't.
Yeah,
like that's what I mean. The cannibalistic Keseberg is a lot more entertaining to read about, but that's not who he was.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the dad's family, the one that shot himself. They wanted them to look into it more. Mm-hmm. Like they've asked and asked and asked and asked, and it's closed. It's a closed case.
Yeah, and the neighbors probably won't say much. You know, whenever they ask them, there's probably been a lot of news outlets that have contacted the neighbors trying to get an interview, and they're just like, well, I don't know. They probably know more than what they lead on, but maybe they're just out of respect to the family, or they just don't want to say anything.
Yeah. Or it's just a classic case of they seem fine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, he mowed his lawn every Wednesday, so what?
He waves at me when he got the mail.
Yeah.
Whipped his dick out and made it twirl like a windmill.
But you'll probably like
helicopter.
With most cases, you'll probably hear more and more shit get added onto this as the years pass by. But since it's so fresh, it happened a few years ago. You know,
there's people on the interweb calling it the Saratoga Demon, because supposedly ever since that happened, Saratoga Springs has just been weird to people.
You do get a weird vibe passing by.
Oh, that house instantly, man! Like it stares straight at you. As soon as you turn it off, into the neighborhood, it stands out.
Who knows? I mean,
and it's on like a corner. It's on like a curve.
Yeah.
So like you're seeing it from any direction you come in that neighborhood.
It's like the Amityville Horror.
I dig it.
Another unsolved case.
But it's a really nice house, man. I think I still have the picture.
We'll go in on it. We'll break our piggy banks open. More or less.
All three of us. We'll just now. But if any of us get murderous thoughts, just
go home.
Yeah, give us. Well, that would be our home. Give us a warning so we can just get a hotel room for the night.
Yeah. Guys, I'm really thinking
about
shooting you.
So, you know I love y'all, right?
But you're gonna die. So yeah, going back on this whole East Area rapist, Golden State Killer, whatever the fuck you want to call him. This dude's 75 years old, so if they do convict him, he's not going to spend too much time in jail before he ultimately dies. I mean, who's to say he will probably commit suicide while he's on trial, like most of these fuckers do.
Yeah.
But Sacramento is also kind of weird because also back in the 70s and stuff, when this dude was pretty much starting out, there was another serial killer named Richard Chase, the vampire of Sacramento. And it's weird if you think about it, like all of these serial killers and stuff, their whole like area of operation was California. In the 70s and 80s, you could be a serial killer, get away with anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. California, if you were to take a time machine, if you wanted to fulfill some type of weird fantasy of killing people, just go to California in the 70s and 80s. You can fulfill all your weird fantasies.
Or you can take that time machine knowing who this bastard is now.
Or catch him?
Yeah.
No, that ain't no fun.
I mean,
I want to stab somebody in the face.
I mean, okay, join him then. Join him, and then kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a famous recording of him that he left on somebody's answering machine. I don't know if it ended up being one of his victims or not, or if it was like maybe a potential victim that he wanted. But he left a recording on an answering machine, and it was him heavy breathing. So he was like,
I heard this.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you. It sounded like a fucking song.
Yeah.
It sounded like it should be like a secret track on an ICP album.
Yeah, I heard that he would. I heard that he would sometimes call his victims afterwards, whether it be rape or one of the burglaries. He would call them and like mentally torture them for months afterwards.
That's better than fucking contacting the papers and stuff, and writing shit out.
Yeah.
Somebody already did that. You can't be a copycat. Zodiac already did it. He did it big. But they caught this guy. He's already confessed. If he doesn't commit suicide, he's going to die really fucking soon.
Yeah.
He's 75. He didn't get his roast out of the oven. He's fucking pissed off.
Bill Cosby didn't confess.
No, that's true. He had the Pudding Pop franchise, though. You couldn't just, leave that.
Them girls being roofied, they sure remember a lot of details.
But that one's solved.
That's a solved one. We're going to talk about some unsolved ones. So let's talk about, have you heard about the Town That Dreaded Sundown? The movie, The Town That Dreaded Sundown? They did there was an old movie in the 70s. It was kind of campy, kind of a slasher flick. And they just recently did a remake of it. It was on Netflix for fucking half a year.
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
The Texarkana Phantom? The Moonlight Murderer?
I'm unfamiliar.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar, but I personally am not familiar with it.
Well, this was an instance that happened in Texarkana. It was, right on the border of Texas and Arkansas. So it smelled like farts, and there's a lot of incest going around. But it was a guy.
Brother, cousin?
Yeah, there was a lot of sister wives and shit like that. But it was a guy that he would go around to Lover's Lane, which was always popular in serial killer lore. He would go around to Lover's Lane, catch people who were finger banging each other or whatever, and he would shoot them, strangle them, stab them. Any way he could kill them, he would kill them. Wasn't that good at it. I think he only racked up like 5 victims in this time period. There was one instance where he went to a ranch, shot 2 people in the face twice, but they somehow managed to live. I guess it was a really shitty fucking gun.
I'm impervious to bullets.
Maybe he had an airsoft rifle or something. I don't know what it was.
You gonna shoot your eye with that?
He killed a jazz musician at one point, and they really, I don't want to use the word jazzed it up, but I think it's appropriate. When they put it in the movie in the 70s, they made it to where he put a knife on a fucking trombone or something, and he played it, and as it was moving in and out, he would stab the person with the knife on the trombone. That was kind of campy as fuck. But
sounds amazing, though.
They never caught the guy. They found somebody that they thought could have done it, and his scorned ex-wife admitted that he had talked about fantasies of killing people. But the only thing they had to go on was that he was a car thief, and they thought that the killer, the Texarkana Phantom, was stealing cars in order to kill people, and then he would dump them. So that's the only thing they had to go on. And the guy actually died while he was in custody of an apparent suicide. So they never actually found the guy. They had their suspicions, but that was it. That's all they had to go on, was suspicions.
Shit.
Just like the Zodiac.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of Zodiac vibes while you were going.
Yeah, there's a lot of different Zodiac vibes. Of course, Zodiac did it bigger and better.
I would really like to see someone actually try to use a trombone to kill somebody, though.
Watch the movie.
But no,
it's very funny.
No, that's what I mean. Actually, I want it to actually happen.
The Bandcamp murderer.
Just you're going through band camp practice and you march behind somebody.
Brilliant.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it.
And then you stuck a float in her pussy. That was it.
A new day rise.
Yeah, it's not Francine or whatever the fuck you call it.
Francesca.
Francesca. That's it.
Sounds like a grapefruit soda from Coca-Cola.
And it's green.
So do you have a particular unsolved case?
I have a couple that have caught my eye.
Okay.
When I say a couple, I mean literally a couple. Two.
Just
The first one, when we were talking about paranormal, I was talking about a show that I was watching that I will not name the name of because...
Why not? Copyright infringement?
Because it's if I said it, you'd be like, oh really, why would you watch that show?
Is it the Golden Girls? That's fine, man.
No, but it was kind of like a true crime show, but it's on YouTube, but it's by a company that nobody like really has any respect for, which I completely understand. But I heard about these and got most of my internal knowledge on these from that show. When they got to the boy in the box.
Oh, the boy in the box?
That got me hyped. You know about the boy in the box, Dylan? When I say that there's a boy in a box, what do you think about? What do you think the story is?
I think of Chucky. I don't know.
I think of a boy in a box.
Does he like his box?
Hey, who will like a box? Hell no.
It's like the box of imagination. You ever watch SpongeBob?
I mean,
what is that SpongeBob?
So what kind of box are we talking about?
A cardboard one.
Okay, I was about to say okay, never mind.
Vaginas?
Yes.
Since I'm not 100% familiar with this, I do have a Wikipedia article pulled up. I'm not going to read through it verbatim. But there are names of people that I don't fully understand or remember. But what time was this? There was a boy found in a box in a parking lot in Philadelphia.
Who would throw away a perfectly good boy?
Yeah, it was in 1957 too.
Oh, that's a classic.
Lots of people.
So this guy found this boy in the box, but he apparently didn't report it to the police right away. He waited like a day or two before reporting it. His reasoning was he didn't want to get involved.
Kind of implements him a little bit, though.
Yeah, it does. But when you think about it, like, if you found a boy in a box, are you going to really... Like, you call the police and you'd be like, hey, I found a boy in a box.
Yep.
It's kind of weird.
I didn't do it.
Hey, there's a boy in this box. It's not me.
So, and he wasn't the only one. There was another guy that found him before this guy, but didn't tell the police because he didn't want to get involved. And...
There's some shitty people in 1957.
Yeah.
It's in Pennsylvania's.
That's all you had to say.
After the boy was actually found and investigated upon, it was found that the boy had freshly cut hair. His body was pretty recently washed. He showed signs of surgeries on him, and he's estimated about 6 years old. And what ended up killing him was brain injuries or head trauma. So they theorized that this boy was not a boy. Well, technically, he was
he a midget?
He was a boy raised to be a girl by this family. And then when he died, they washed him, they cut his hair so that he looked like a boy, because everyone else would have thought of him as a girl. So that would be hard to identify him, I guess, at that point. There are theories out there about how this boy got in this box. One that was pretty convincing to me, but has evidence against it. I don't remember exactly what the evidence is. There was this guy that bought a house from a guy that sold his son to somebody, and then
buy the house, you get a boy.
This guy.
What if it's covered on insurance?
No, he didn't buy the boy. He bought the house, and the guy that sold him the house had also sold the boy to someone else. Which I don't know how. Like, how does that come up in conversation? Like, if you sold your son, how are you going to tell me
buy one house, get a boy for free? I don't know.
But then later on, there was some theories of there was this girl that came forward that said that her mother had bought a boy because.
It's not funny, Dylan. It's not funny. Stop laughing.
But
you should be ashamed of yourself.
But the mother had sexually assaulted and beaten this girl, and bought the boy looking to do it to him too, and. From there, whatever happened. And eventually she said, hey, we gotta go dump off this boy. But the police knew about this So, considering this is still unsolved, I'm guessing there was something against it. Nobody still knows the name of this boy. He was never claimed. He's marked in a grave that's marked America's Unknown Child.
But his name was Billy.
But he was
Damn it, he had a name.
We'll claim him right now.
His name was Billy Box.
Billy Box.
Ouch,
boy.
too soon.
Oh.
It was 1957.
You gotta wait like 70 years. Mathematics.
You can't make fun of a boy in a box. Everyone's sensitive in 2018.
Now,
That was my family member.
Alice in Chains, they have a song called Man in the Box. So is this like a precursor to that?
Oh yeah,
If he grew up and he died, he would be the man in the box,
Yeah.
not the boy in the box.
Yeah,
That's what we're saying
exactly what happened. They even had the long hair, the long '80s hair, because
Oh,
he was,
okay.
he was raised to be a girl.
Good
So
song.
yeah,
I rock out to that song.
Boy in a box.
There's a
So it's
kid.
still unsolved to this day. They don't know his name.
Nope, they
have
still don't know his
theories.
name. Nobody ever claimed him.
But I mean, in that time period, it's almost like they didn't really give a shit up until, when they actually had DNA evidence, which is like the middle of the 90s.
Yeah, which I wonder if they just solved the Golden State Killer with DNA. I wonder if that could be something that they tried to do with the boy.
I don't think it's going to be like a wide spectrum. We're going back and trying to fucking solve every single unsolved case.
I know. I'm not saying that they will do it. I'm saying I wonder if they could.
Well, they say that they're going to do it.
I mean, they say they know the identity of Jack the Ripper, the biggest unsolved case probably in the world. But
Wait a second, I haven't heard about this.
supposedly Jack the Ripper, they went back, did some DNA evidence on a shawl that was found on one of the murder victims, I think Marianne Nichols, one of the prostitutes, and it is linked to a Polish shoemaker. What the fuck? I mean, if they said surgeon or butcher or anything like that, okay, I can understand. But a shoemaker?
I mean, if he's actually making them shoes, man,
Making the fuck out of them shoes viciously.
There's a lot of process to that.
Yeah.
I mean, at
You
one
gotta
point,
you might say you have to have surgeon-like precision to make
to make shoes back then, man,
Yeah.
the wingtips, dude, you had to like cut them just fucking right. Kind of like a
Exactly.
prostitute in a dark alley.
Multiple times.
But supposedly they said they have solved the case, but that's just one person's theory to solve,
He
or
did it.
to sell books, more or less.
Yeah.
You'll never figure out the identity
No,
of Jack the Ripper.
no.
Who's to say it was one person and not, maybe 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Could have been,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah.
I still see the shoemaker now.
Could be the shoemaker.
Could be the shoemaker.
It was a fishmonger.
Jack the Shoemaker.
Jack the fishmonger.
He always smelled like feet.
I've just to throw my name in the hat on this. I've never had any proof for it, but I've always liked the idea of Jack the Ripper being a prostitute himself.
Really?
Yeah, because it's kind
That's
of
a M. Night Shyamalan twist.
because it's the perfect cover up. Like, I'm gonna murder the fuck out of some prostitutes, call myself Jack the Ripper. They're gonna look for a man,
Jill the Ripper.
and it's actually a woman. Like there's
That is a theory.
like there's times where people are like, how did Jack get past all the police? They'd be looking for a man. What if it wasn't a man? She could have just slipped past.
Yeah.
Like a former prostitute getting some revenge on some other prostitutes.
Yeah. It's also, it could be part of the British royal family.
Yeah.
Like Prince William, they said it could have been him because he had caught syphilis from a prostitute, so he was striking back, killing prostitutes left and right.
But we actually got this coming up on BooTv. Eventually, whenever Michael stops twirling his dick.
Twirl your dick,
Twirl,
Michael.
twirl, twirl.
Leave it alone.
Stop playing with it.
We
It
covered
makes
a few.
babies.
We covered a few theories on who Jack the Ripper was.
Have you heard the theory that it might have been H.H. Holmes?
I
America's
have.
first serial
I
killer.
have. I believe Michael brings that up, but I can't remember anything from
He
him.
was in the area at the time. He was in London in 1888 trying to find skeletons, which is what he fucking did. He killed people and sold their skeletons off to medical schools, pretty much. He was in the area. He had the expertise. He was a surgeon. Very well could have done it. But, I mean, nowadays it seems like it's a popular theory of linking, serial killers to other serial killers.
Yeah.
Charlie Manson was apparently the Zodiac. It's fucking retarded.
No, there's
He
no
was,
chance.
he was a brilliant man, but he wasn't that brilliant.
He was just a con artist.
Yeah.
But no, he couldn't do the things that Zodiac did. He couldn't write a fucking letter out because he was too hepped up on acid.
Right.
He couldn't spell his name.
The entire letter would be...
Titties.
He's a really good guitar player when he's sober.
Man, I like that one song he does that Guns N' Roses covered.
Oh.
Check out your game, girl.
Oh, yeah. That.
The pussy would just come running when he sang that.
Oh, yeah. I play that when I'm trying to pick up girls now. They don't even know it's Manson.
I play that when I poop.
Look at your
poop, girl. My wife's like, what are you doing in there?
I'm pooping.
Check out my poop, girl.
Let me send you a picture.
So what else do we have on our unsolved mysteries?
Do you have any others? Because I only have one other.
I have a bunch of them. Have you heard of the Dyatlov Pass incident?
I've heard of it. Cannot recall anything of it.
I literally had to type this into like Google Translate to even pronounce what it was called. It's Dyatlov, Dyatlov. That's what it came up with.
Okay.
It was, of course, it's a Russian case that has been an unsolved mystery for the better part of the 20th century. So there is a mountain in Russia called Dead Mountain. And I think it should be a reason enough to never even fucking go near that shit. A gang of 10 people attempted to scale it from the most dangerous route possible, much like Donner Party.
Yeah.
During the journey, one of the guys got sick and was left in a small village along the way. Very fucking fortunate that he did this. The other 9 continued to move forward, but very soon they realized they took a wrong turn, and with rapidly worsening weather conditions, which included a brewing snowstorm, they hunkered down on the slope of the mountain. So they weren't heard from for over 10 days. 10 days after the disappearance, a massive search party happened. It was filled with supplies, they eventually happened upon their little area, which is on the slope of this mountain. They happened upon the area. It was filled with supplies and it was abandoned, and it seemed the campers cut through the tent from the inside in the dead of night and made a random run out of it. Some of them had clothes on, some of them didn't. Some of the people were found with clothes from the other, team that they had. They searched the 4 bodies which were scattered about. One of them had a crushed skull. One of them had the tongue ripped out. One of them had the eye removed completely out of its root. There was one person found in a tree with their chest completely caved in. They said that it resembled something like a car crash, more or less. Mm-hmm. It was the same force of a car crash. Of course, they contributed most of this to what it could have been an avalanche. Mm-hmm. But the wounds didn't add up. They were personal, like somebody might have beaten them to death. So they also brought forth the theory of, well, it was a tribe that was in the area that was very hostile. Mm-hmm. But once again, the wounds don't add up.
Yeah.
At one point, they said, oh, it was a fucking Russian Yeti, more or less. Because, they actually had documents back in the day that warned people that there were Russian Yetis in the area.
Are we getting back into the hillbilly beast?
It could be. The Russian hillbilly beast, fueled by vodka and potatoes.
Sounds like a good day.
Eventually, one of the theories they brought up was, well, if it's not a Yeti, it was aliens. I've never known an alien to completely rip your eye socket out.
Aliens will just anally rape you.
Yeah, if your butthole was pulled out by the roots, like some type of radish from the ground,
then maybe.
I could understand. And of course, the last theory that they contributed to was it was a Russian government site, more or less. And whatever experiments they were conducting there, completely fucked these people up in ways that you can't really explain.
Yeah.
And there was actually, they tried to launch an investigation in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they were completely shut down by Russian authorities. They did not want them to investigate at all whatsoever. So, that definitely could seem like, Russian authorities knew about it and they don't want nobody knowing anything.
Once you got into that story, I realized I've recently heard about that. And I just didn't know the name of it.
There's also a movie on Netflix called The Devil's Pass. It looks like shit when you scroll past it. It looks horrible, but if you watch it, it's pretty good. It's got a lot of weird theories that's thrown in there. Make a Unsolved Mysteries movie night and watch Devil's Pass and also ravenous with the Donner Party.
Yeah. That's... See, I remembered that the people were, like, scattered about, had random injuries, and that their clothes, like, some of them were naked, and then there was another party that was found a ways away that had the other people's clothes on them. I remembered that. I didn't remember how gruesome some of those were.
Oh, it was disgusting. Somebody's eye was pulled out, their heads were crushed, their chests were caved in. And, I mean, they couldn't find the blood because there had been a snowstorm, so it covered up. So if there was a trail of blood or anything like that, they would have never found it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only saving grace to their bodies was, they were completely covered with snow when they found them, so animals couldn't get to them.
Yes.
So they couldn't cause those injuries. So
It
that was
helped
ruled
preserve
out.
it.
Yeah. That was completely ruled out that it could have been an animal or something like that. Unless you count a Yeti. A Russian Yeti is an animal.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's weird.
I really don't know what I can add to that, though. Like, that's just, it is what it is.
I mean, I could probably get with the whole Russian Yeti thing. Abominable Snowman.
Yeah.
If you believe in that sort of thing.
I mean, if you believe in a Bigfoot, it's not that much of a leap.
I mean, they're not just here in North America.
Yeah.
Fucking everywhere.
If they went up a Russian mountain, I'm just going to say it was the mountain. Russians are already badass. What was the challenge of Russian mountain?
Yeah, that Dolph Lundgren guy from fucking Rocky IV is pretty badass.
In Russia, mountain crush you.
They could easily. I break you.
Move me.
Crush your skull with one fucking overhand right.
If they die, they die.
I rip their eyeball out, though. I throw it.
Well, damn.
Disgusting stuff.
Well, Dylan, have you ever heard about Joan Benet Ramsey?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody who grew
Not
up in
very
the 90s
much,
heard
but
about it.
yes.
Hey, I was born in the 90s, so I didn't hear about it.
I remember this shit vividly.
I was born in the 90s.
Well, you probably will know it a lot better than I do, if you want to take it.
John Benet Ramsey?
John Benet Ramsey.
Well, just initially, what had happened is it's in Colorado. It's an upscale neighborhood. The house that was owned by her parents that she lived in was like fucking 4 stories or some shit.
Yeah, it was
basement.
like
Huge.
it was a giant ass fucking house.
Parents were very well off. Her mother was like a former like beauty queen herself. John Benet Ramsey was an up and coming toddler beauty queen. You see the disgusting people on TLC.
That's what she was.
Toddlers and tiaras. It's kind of like that. A lot like that. But huge, very huge case in the 90s. She was found dead in her home. Initially, she was missing. I think it took a day to find her body, and her body was actually in the house. And they initially searched the entire house, but they didn't search the little kind of off the cuff wine cellar in the basement. And that was where she was found like bound and gagged in the basement. There was like a broken paintbrush next to her that was used as a garrote.
Well, there was one thing that you kind of skipped over, and you might have been planning on going back to it, but there was a ransom note.
Yes.
I
was going to get to that.
I have it pulled up here, if I can read it verbatim.
Yeah.
Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. It says we do, but then it's crossed out. The do is crossed out. Respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. Yes, I'm pretty sure I am. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money, and hence a earlier delivery pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise that you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John. Victory. SBTC.
Yeah. There's a couple things I want to point out with the ransom note, and maybe people who are savvy on the case have noticed this, but 18,000?
Yeah, it was a weird number.
It's a very weird number, and the Ramseys were like well into the millions, like millionaire status. They could have asked for 500,000, at least $500,000.
Yeah.
They could have asked for even up into the millions. And I mean, the Ramseys, if they had nothing to hide, they could have paid this money, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Also, the whole use that Southern sensibility or whatever, smarts or whatever. Dude is from the north. He's not from the south. He's up like in the fucking like Massachusetts areas. So what the hell does that mean exactly? There's a few inconsistencies in the letter.
Also, the fact that the letter was written on a piece of paper in John Bonet's room.
Yeah.
If this was a break-in, like there's theories out there that the family did it. Yeah. But assume this is a break-in, they broke in, they went up to John Bonet's room. She either was, I don't know if it was her room, but they broke into the house.
They say they tasered her, knocked her out, and then drug her down to the basement.
But they at least sat for a little bit and wrote this note out.
Yeah.
And there's evidence on the notepad that they wrote a separate note, kind of trying to figure out what they were going to say on the note.
Yeah. Maybe
so
it was like ripped off.
Yeah, they wrote one note and then they started over and wrote a new note. So a lot of people use that as evidence against the family because they're just sitting in the house trying to practice out a note.
Yeah, it could have been. But I mean, if somebody broke into the house, they're not going to bring their own legal pad to write the fucking note. They're going to use probably like what they can find there. But also, in another instance, they're going to be trying to get in and out as soon as possible.
Exactly.
Not to arouse any suspicions.
So I would imagine they would have the note pre-prepared.
Yeah. I mean, if they were smart and if they were actually like career criminals, maybe if they've done this before or anything like that, yeah, they probably would have had what they wanted to say written out, ready to be dropped.
Just a lucky first time.
Oh, the luck of the draw?
Could have. From some of the suspects that this case had, though, that was...
Yeah, of course anybody's going to like go towards, the parents did it.
Yeah.
Some reason or other. There was also a theory that her brother may have done it. She had an older brother and she had a younger brother that lived within the house. The older brother lived in another state, I think. But I think he had flown in earlier because it was like around Christmas that this happened. So that's one of the theories. Also, there's a theory there was like a weird Santa Claus character that may or may not have been like a child molester. He was playing Santa Claus at their party they had a day or two before, a Christmas party. And he might have saw John Bonet and been like, she's just,
well, there was
right up my alley.
There was that Santa Claus guy. He did seem very weird from what I've heard about him, but I wouldn't think he was the killer. He was interviewed afterwards and was very visibly distraught about her death. She was the only kid to have ever given him a present while he was playing Santa, which was a little vial of glitter. And he treasured that glitter, even so much as to saying to his wife that when he dies, if he died before her, he wanted the glitter mixed in with his ashes. That's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but...
Yeah, it's a little far.
But I don't think he would kill her.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he's a fucking killer, molester, what have you.
Well, there was no evidence of sexual assault on her. Like, DNA was found on the panties, but it wasn't semen DNA.
Oh God, I hate the word panties and I hate the word semen. And
together, it just makes me cringe. Like, I think I need to go wash my hands.
All right, there was DNA on her underwear, but not cum DNA.
Okay, I'm still bad with the cum, but
cum was a little direct there.
I'll pull a celebrity death match and be like, well, I'll allow it.
But that DNA was tested against all of their primary suspects and ruled every one of them out. And it wasn't until later that it was found out that DNA was just shit. It was horse shit.
Well, also, like, the police just completely bungled the whole fucking crime scene. They were walking over, like, you know...
Well, they didn't know her body was in the basement. So they
didn't know for a while up until they, I think... I don't know on this, but either one of the family members found her body after a while. I think it was her father, actually. He searched from top to bottom, ending in the basement. And I think he eventually found her body in the side room. But he brought it upstairs, and then, like, that already fucked up the crime scene. But also, her mother grabbed up John Bonet and was just inconsolable and, like, collapsed on the couch with her, crying more or less. But you're not supposed to move a body whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then you have cops completely fucking with shit on the counter, walking all over the crime scene, fucking with, like, evidence. They bungled this to a T.
But did you ever hear what the DNA on the underwear supposedly was?
What was it?
It was found that DNA of workers in a factory making the product would get onto the product, and that's what it was. It was whoever made the underwear.
So it was like the Hanes Corporation?
Yeah, it was like if I was making some underwear and like a piece of my hair fell out and got sewn into the underwear, basically, my DNA would now be in that underwear, and if that person got killed, my DNA would be on that person's body.
So somebody from Fruit of the Loom.
So they were using that DNA to rule out everyone that was a possible suspect, and then when that's figured out, everyone that they thought was ruled out is no longer ruled out.
Yeah. But also there's one last theory I want to get over, and then we can go on to our next. But there was the theory of maybe it was somebody who, you know, worked with John Bonet Ramsey's father. Because he worked for a pretty big, like, arms dealer. Like, one of the biggest arms dealers in America. Like, the main one, more or less. And they pretty much could have had some evidence on him. Maybe he fucked them over in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And them being part of the hierarchy for the government could have killed her in, like, a revenge type of scenario, more or less. Typical CIA, you know, you fuck me over, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see it all the time. But, I mean, SPC Victory, there's all these different all these different theories with that. Some people point to a weird yacht club that, you know, what is John Bonet Ramsey's father's name? I don't want to keep referring to him as the father.
Let me see if I can find that.
It's John Ramsey, ain't it?
John and Fleet White, a family friend. John. I keep seeing a John.
John. So if you think about the letter, it says
Parents John Ramsey was a businessman. Do you want to know the mother's name too?
Her name is Patsy Ramsey. I don't remember her name.
Yeah, Patsy.
But John Ramsey, yeah. SPC Victory, there was a yacht club he was involved in called Victory. So there's another theory that it could have been fucking somebody from the yacht club. A little far-fetched if you ask me, but...
Yeah, especially with the SBTC thing.
Yeah, what is the SBTC?
Nobody knows.
That's the thing. So cryptic as they come, more or less. But I mean, there's been several people that have come forth and been like, I killed John Bonet Ramsey. But that's just notoriety factor.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people that did that. There was... Oh no, I'm getting crimes mixed up. There, There was a lot of people that did that. There was one guy that somebody stayed in contact with for like years as pen pals with him, as he discussed these gruesome details of what he did with John Bonet, and then the DNA said he didn't do it, but DNA isn't that. It wasn't conclusive.
At this point, it was just beginning, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like the whole DNA evidence. But it's just one of those things that's probably going to go down in history where people will say they did it, but they'll never know for sure.
No one will know.
Maybe it was Charles Manson.
Charles Manson did it, definitely.
From prison.
Totally.
That's what that Look at Your Game Girl song is about.
Yeah.
He used his powers.
It's just crazy.
He's just
weird.
His Jesus powers.
I have a small little one to throw out there. A little strange mystery.
What's up?
Dublin, Ireland, 1940 to like 6 months ago. It's called the Dublin Triangle. It's an 80-mile stretch of river.
I never heard about this.
And
Me either.
since the 1940s, about 400 women have been missing in that triangle. And literally, nothing else.
It's just women?
Yeah, just women.
It's Charles Manson.
Charles Manson.
He did
But
just
literally,
die.
yeah, it was weird. Say, I ran across it and started reading it, and I didn't really like get too many names because it's from the 40s till like 6 months ago.
It's just weird that it's women.
But what was weird to me is that it still happened 6 months ago. They've had reports of missing people in this 80-mile stretch of river in Dublin, Ireland.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get sex changes, and then we're gonna go.
Let's do it.
Can I get sex changes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have to shave?
No.
Okay, good.
I'll just do the whole like Buffalo Bill tuck job. I don't want to lose my dick and balls.
But 1940, 2018. What range would you think they'd have to be in to still be kidnapping over 400
What was
women?
the first time?
1940s.
1940s.
They got banshees and fairies there and shit and leprechauns and stuff.
I could have been a fucking leprechaun.
It could be chalked up to something mystical like that.
Is Nessie in Ireland?
I must say
Or
it's,
Dublin?
Nessie, I don't know. You got the Loch Ness Monster. It's just right across the way.
I must say it's Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage did it.
The Loch Ness Monster smells the periods, eats the women.
Bam.
It's like bears.
I'm gonna email Dublin. We solved it, bro.
I got a break in the case.
We solved it.
It's a goddamn plesiosaur.
BooTalk exclusive.
There's a bunch of
we
women.
solved it.
There's a bunch of women from the age of 18 to 32 or 33.
Yeah. I never heard about that. That's weird. I'm gonna look that up tonight.
Yeah.
Breaking the
So
case.
I've seen it for the Dublin Triangle, and then I've also seen it as I think it was
The Leprechaun Square.
right.
The Banshee Octagon.
Oh, is that where the UFC happens?
Yeah. Midgets fight each other. It's like Hornswoggle.
Where'd it go? I just had it up here.
Before we turn into sports center,
That could happen real quick.
I want to talk about one more thing, and we can go back to your thing while you're looking this up. The Dublin Triangle, which is when women shave their vagina hairs into a triangle.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
It's a 4-leaf clover triangle. Figure that out.
Yes. I'm sure y'all heard about Roanoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Roanoke mystery, the Roanoke colony, the missing Roanoke colony. Or as we in Kentucky like to say, bunch of them fuckers disappeared.
Oh, hell.
So, Roanoke, if you haven't seen American Horror Story, it's based off this, more or less. Without Kathy Bates slaughtering people and the weird pig-headed guys. So, this happened during the late 16th century. The British were desperately trying to gain a foothold in the Americas, competing with the French and the Spanish at every step. But this colony had bad luck from the very beginning, and it's surprising how none of the colonists just came up and said, I think this is a bad idea, you fuckers. Here's how it goes. Sir Walter Raleigh, ring a bell? Question mark? Sent an expedition to Roanoke Island, now part of North Carolina. Raleigh, North Carolina. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm not good at geometry.
The ships got lost on the way and then lost most of their food, and then when they reached, they blamed a local native village for stealing a silver cup, in which they promptly raided and burned it to the ground. Then when the expedition leader needed to go back to England and get more supplies, most of the colonists abandoned the colony at first opportunity. So enter expedition number 2. Raleigh, not easily deterred, sent a much larger expedition to join up with the remnants of Roanoke and set up a large colony. When they arrived, all they found was an empty colony and a skeleton. It turns out that when you sack and loot a village, natives don't like it very well, surprisingly. So understandably, fearing for their lives, they sent a new expedition leader, John White, back to England to get more soldiers to help defend the colony. He left his granddaughter, Virginia, there, and went for home. Sadly, he couldn't return for another 3 years due to a little thing called Spanish Armada. And when he did finally make it back, the entire colony was abandoned, including his granddaughter, with no sign of struggle. It seemed as if everyone just packed up and left in an orderly fashion. The only clue they found left there was a carving on a tree that said Croatoan. So before White left, he told the colonists to draw a cross if they were forced to leave by force, but there was no cross anywhere. So one of the three things happened. Either they all moved to a new place and got captured, or they tried to return to England and some of their boats sank and they were never heard from again. So that's just a weird instance of what the fuck happened, more or less.
Yeah.
So either they left, there was no struggle, nothing left behind to pretty much show what had happened, or this place just up and vanished off the fucking map.
I heard there was a rumor, not a rumor, but a theory that those people ended up going to Croatoan because there was another tribe. There was a tribe down there. They went to Croatoan and assimilated themselves into the tribe. So hence they wouldn't have had the cross there because they weren't taken by force. They just assimilated themselves. And if I remember correctly, the guy that, can't remember his name, that came back,
John White, I think it was.
He tried to go to Croatoan but never got there.
Yeah.
So he would have never been able to see if they were there or not.
That's just a very odd instance. Like, nobody knows what the hell happened, more or less. It's almost like it just vanished off the face of the planet. Mm-hmm. And there's been other instances of this here in America. There was a weird town in Kansas that just disappeared overnight, more or less. They heard distressing signals. It was called into the police station. And then when police came there the next day, there was just smoldering ashes, but no bodies were found. The whole town was burned down.
Aliens.
Yep.
Yep.
It's that damn Russian Yeti. He got himself a passport.
God
there.
damn
He brought
hillbilly beast.
Yep. And he's an arsonist too, so he burned the whole fucking thing down.
He's a talented Yeti.
Yeah, he is, man.
Jeez. But it's weird, man, because I thought the name was cooler than that. But it's just Ireland's Vanished Triangle. I like Dublin Triangle.
Yeah, I like
Dublin Triangle, yeah.
But the weirdest one that stood out to me, man, was I was just scrolling through it. And, I kind of, when I first read through it, I kind of thought it was just people walking, Well, no, in 1997, a 17-year-old girl was abducted from her bedroom right next to her mom. Sleeping in the same bed.
Her mom didn't see nothing? Nothing?
Mom woke up, daughter gone.
Shit.
Never seen again, 17 years old.
Shit.
In the same bed.
Here's a better question. Why are they sleeping in the same bed?
I don't know.
Maybe she had a bad dream.
She was 17.
But a lot of these, I'm gonna guess it's just gonna lead back to just if they even look into it, it's gonna lead back to some old guy that just was kidnapping women and killing them. Because it's after the pub, after the concert, someone jogging, someone running errands. It's just a bunch of random people. But the one that stood out the most was the daughter missing from the bed with her mom in the same bed.
Fucking stole her right underneath her nose.
I mean, I could see how somebody could do that. It would be difficult. But...
And the main thing says is, it was always attractive girls, same hair color, same eye style. So
he's going for the same sort of.
Sounds like Criminal Minds needs to go to Dublin.
Yeah.
Fucking CSI people there.
Let's do it.
Yeah. You want to? I'll go to Ireland.
Yeah, let's go to Ireland. We'll solve this shit.
Let's do it, man.
If you want to be racist about it, just throw a potato on a string and just see what fucking pops up. Dress it up, put a wig on it, make it look like a pretty lady.
Let's be real here. We'd go to Ireland.
Oh, they had a suspect in 2000 named Larry Murphy.
Really?
He raped a girl multiple times, attempted to suffocate her to death. Luckily, two individuals came upon the scene and chased him and threw him in his own trunk. He was arrested and sentenced to 15 years in prison. He just served 10 to a plea deal.
You ever think it might be human trafficking? I mean, that's a big fucking thing that's going on now, even here locally.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, it's awful, man.
Right down the street, to the Myers and Hillview, or the Preston Highway Myers, I should say. There was an instance where this guy and this girl were inside of Myers, and they followed this woman and her child, her daughter, around for a while, asked them questions, said they were part of a new Christian church that was in town. And she got really bad vibes. The guy wasn't wearing any shoes. The girl noticed that, like, the woman noticed that the girl that was with the guy with no shoes had, like, track marks on her arm and everything. And she, like, notified management and everything. And they told the guy to leave and everything. But the same guy was seen at Target on Outer Loop. Same guy, not with the same woman, but the same guy. He had shoes on this time, but he was doing the same fucking thing. He had pamphlets. He was saying he's part of a church. And I think it's some part of a local human trafficking ring.
Huh.
And that's worldwide, not just here.
No, it's just gotten really big here, especially Derby time. Like,
Yeah.
you'd be crazy.
Oh,
like,
Derby time's the worst time for it.
It's weird. It's crazy, man. This world's just going to shit.
Yeah, there was even signs up for a while. I remember seeing signs that says, you know, if you or anybody you know has been approached by anybody, dial this number. Of course, that also could have been a ploy for human traffickers.
Yeah.
You never know.
So I didn't notice this was as big as it was. I knew that it was a thing, and I knew that it was like worldwide spread. I didn't know that
Nobody,
it was
it's weird, the media doesn't report on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Someone approaches me, they're getting punched in the nose.
Yeah, if I'm with my wife and somebody does that, I'll stab somebody with, I'll go to the fucking, kitchen section and grab a knife and stab them with it. Just put it back on the shelf.
Good thing I'm single as a Pringle.
Oh, Pringles are tasty.
I like the honey mustard one.
He looks more like the Red Hots.
Oh yeah,
The fiery ones.
It's the red beard.
You look like a flaming hot Cheeto fella to me.
Guys, I hate to skip out on you.
Actually, we about to close
This is
out.
the end of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we closing
shit.
out. Don't skip out yet. We
Oh,
closing.
shit.
Say your
Man,
goodbyes, man.
I was gonna go get the baby.
Yeah, you gotta go. So we gotta get Dylan out of here so he can go get the baby child. So with all that said, stay spooky, my friends.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. Sean WolfParty Martin. We got
Dylan Close, guys. Remember, be the weird one.
And always stay spooky.
Good night, everybody.
Initiate fear chud sequence.